I'm not used to this podcast though. Okay. So, people often ask me, Joe, how did you get involved in this kind of work? I mean, this is kind of weird. You stand up for guys. And so, I was a substitute school teacher in the Petaluma School District, and they had just been sued by a girl for sexual harassment. So up came the sexual harassment or anti-sexual harassment guys, and they were everywhere. In the hallway, in every classroom, in the teacher's room, everywhere you went. And right on the principal secretary's bulletin board, she had this. So Joe comes to us and says, well, I'm offended by that. She said, so? I said, would you make me a photocopy of it? She said, sure. Now, a week later, there was a public forum put on by the AAUW on sexual harassment, and the principal was one of the panelists. I was the only man in the audience, and during the Q&A, I held it up. To make a long story short, the poster was down the next day. But there was a double standard, like this one. This was in the chemistry school, in the teacher's room, right by the door. So when the teachers are going out to get the kids with their coffee, most of whom are women, this is what they look at. Okay, according to this cartoon, who has life easier, a boy or a girl?
A boy.
A boy. So this is something that we need to move away from. Life is not easier because you have a penis. All right. Now this is one of the blocks. That's why boys are not getting help. I was trying to get the San Francisco Chronicle reporter to do a story on boys in education. I think you've all read this. I don't need to read it for you. Men make more money than women, so who cares about it? So, if any of you are hung up that men make more money than women, you are not going to hear me tonight. You might as well take off right now. All right, so I'm going to give you some local statistics before I get into the program. These are all current statistics. Who's in college and who's incarcerated? 70% of boys are in juvenile hall, 88% of men are inmates in the jail, 40% of the students at the JC are male, and 33% of the students at Sonoma State are male. Now I know a lot of men in the audience right now are saying to themselves, damn, of course I was back at Sonoma State. Alright, so now these are from the Petaluma School District, or the secondary, they call it Petaluma Joint Unified District. Expulsion, 79% male. Suspensions, 81% male. Special education students, 63% male. Dropouts, 59%. Summer school, now this year, in order to get into summer school, you have to be at risk of not graduating, 59% male. Advanced math, boys are the minority. Advanced science, boys are the minority. Now that's a little bit misleading in that nationwide it is true that the girls are caught up to the boys in math and science. But when it comes to the high achievers, it's boys. Boys dominate the top and the bottom. Girls dominate the mean. Honor roll, 42% male. Scholarships, 39% male. Four-year college bound, 33% male. Boys dominate, going to the JC. Leadership classes, 26% male. Associated Student Body Class Officers, 32%. ASB Commissioners, 21%. Gate, Gifted and Talented. Boys are a little bit ahead. Again, the boys dominate the top and the bottom. So, What's going on locally as far as why aren't the schools doing anything? So this is from the then Sonoma County Office of Education Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction. Now, if you're wondering, why are you putting this email up on this PowerPoint? Well, he's retired, so I can do it. The accountability pressure is based on the fact the state and the Fed's accountability system does look at reading and math progress in very specific ways of which gender is not included. So the state and the Feds are not holding them accountable. Consequently, districts are focused on these measures that are high stakes, such as English language learners. Even closer to home, I did get his permission to use his email file. From the principal of Pebble Junior High, he says, no, Joe, it's not gender, it's first and second language. So I got the statistics right from the school. So this is language arts, Pebble Junior High, looking at all 4 categories. That's 7th and 8th Hispanic and white students. Boys comprise the majority of far below basic. That means illiterate students, while they make up the minority of advanced students. So girls dominate the top, boys dominate the bottom. As far as the mean scale scores, that's the average. In 3 of the 4 categories, boys scored significantly lower than the girls, 12, 16 points, while the one area that boys outperformed the girls was a mere 4-point average for 8th grade Latinos. So as Richard Whitmire was saying, it's a fallacious argument to say that this is all about race or income. Doesn't matter if your child lives in Fountain Grove or Roseland, chances are the girls are outperforming the boys. Okay, so I'm going to go over 4 strategies for connecting boys to schools. One is to educate teachers on gender differences in development and learning. Create focused schools, that means single-sex schools, which offer nurturing, personalized education. Connect boys with caring adults and respect boys. And this, by the way, is from Judith Kleinfeld, who is the executive director of the Boys Project, an international organization of folks like myself trying to educate the public to these issues. All right. So, I'm not going to read this. We'll just go to the next slide and watch the video.
Experiments, like this word response test, confirm underlying sex differences in the brain, influencing what each sex is good at. But ability alone, as women know, won't guarantee success. Motivation and temperament count for just as much. And in this respect, too, boys and girls are not the same. At Rutgers Medical School, the researchers like to get their human guinea pigs young, before the world has left its mark on them.
She learned it pretty quickly, actually. I'm going to type in them.
Extensive tests have shown that a sex difference in temperament shows up early. Babies are seated in front of a screen and given a string they can pull to change the picture in front of them. Boys and girls learn equally fast, but they react differently when the switch they've learned to control is secretly disconnected. The boys keep pulling. Harder. But with the girls, it's different. They get upset and give up. The difference shows in babies as young as 6 weeks. Call it stubbornness or determination, males seem to be born with more of it, according to Professor Lewis.
this difference between active attempts to overcome a frustration in terms of arm pull and anger in boys is really in sharp contrast to what we find in the girls, which is an attempt not to try to overcome, but to collapse and face in the face of this barrier.
Hundreds of experiments confirm early sex differences in temperament. Professor Lewis doesn't believe it can all be explained by the way we rear our children.
There must be a biological factor as well. It does not go unnoticed that boys are likely to bang on things and girls are likely not to bang. So we think there is a biological component as well. This biological component what people have called temperament.